Okay, so now, a while ago, that was the process in finding the quartiles of the ungrouped data was easier because the data were ungrouped. They are less. And there is a faster way to solve the process. And in here naman, for the quartiles of grouped data, meaning the data are already a lot. The number of data is already big. So therefore, there is a sorting of data that should be done. And this is actually used whenever there are researches wherein there are lots of respondents that need to be considered in our data. Okay, and so for this one, let's now move on with identifying the quartiles of grouped data. Here. So we have this formula which we will be learning and identifying in this process. Okay. So let's take a look at this example. So we have here, for our example, it says here the following are the heights in centimeters of 35 students. So ito na gamitin natin. Okay. So, the following are the heights in centimeters of 35 students. So there are 35 students now. Actually, you can actually do or solve this using the manual counting a while ago. Kaya lang, sobrang dami na ng mga numbers na i-arrange mo. And a while ago nga, there were just 8 or 12 numbers, but I happened to miss what do you call that? Encoding some numbers which may result to errors if ever we did not notice that mistake. Okay, so the best way to do this now to interpret the quartiles of the group data or find the quartiles of the group data is by using this process. Okay, but actually, mahaba lang siya. The process might be a little longer, but actually it's just easy. Okay, let's take a look at this example. So the following are the heights in centimeters of 35 students. These are the heights of the learners. Okay, and they are 35. So the first thing to do is to find or to construct a frequency distribution table. And how do we construct that frequency distribution table? We have to follow these steps. Okay. So step one is this. The step one is get the range. When we say range, we need to get the largest value minus the smallest value. That is our range. So we have here range is equal to the largest value is, what's our largest value? What's the largest value? Type your answer in the chat box, please. From the set of given, let me make it bigger. What's the largest value? The largest value is 146. That's the largest. And what's the smallest value? Type it in the chat box, please. The smallest value is 120. Very good. So 146 minus 120, the answer is, type the answer please in the chat box. 146 minus 120 is 26. Very good. Okay. Good. Oh, see? Dali-dali lang. Next is Determine the approximate number of classes. I don't like the interface of this new whiteboard that I'm using. Nag-update siya, hindi ko gusto yung ginagawa. Okay, nevertheless, let's continue. Next is to determine the approximate number of classes, K. Okay, and we have this formula to follow. Therefore, you will need your calculators this time. Get your calculators, everyone. And we just have to do or press this in our formula or in our calculator. N here is the number of data. So N here is 35. So therefore, kindly press K is equal to 1 plus 3.322 logarithm of 35. Press it in the calculator, please. K plus 3.322 logarithm of 35. Type the answer in the chat box, please. And what is something good that I like about him is that he knows when to use violence. Type the answer in the chat box. Of course, if there's a particular situation, will he be logarithm, the log function. He had this, where is that in the calculator? Did you see it? Okay. The answer here is when you press this in the calculator, K is equal to 6.129394043, etc. And of course, you just have to round it to the nearest integer. So this is approximately equal to 6. This will be your value for K. And the K will be used later. Okay, in our process. Okay. Sa formula, hindi siya magagamit, pero in the next process, we will be using it. Okay. Next is this. This time, it's time for this now, it's time for us to use our step 1 and step 2 values. Why? We need to get our, it keeps on getting bigger as I paste a new item. Okay. So for our step 3, all we have to do is to determine the class interval. So in the class interval, we will be using the range and our K. Okay, dito natin siya magagamit. So therefore, in here we will have I, or the class interval, is equal to 26 divided by 6. Press this in the calculator, please. 26 divided by 6, what's the answer? What's the answer? It's 4.3. Very good. Okay. And this time, for the interval, round it off to the nearest odd integer. Again, round it off to the nearest odd integer. Saan yung pinakamalapit na odd integer ng 4.3? Round it off to the nearest odd integer. Because preferably it should be odd. Okay, ganun talaga kapag gumagamit tayo dito. So 4.3 is nearest to 5. So it's nearest to 5. So this is equal to 5. Okay? So after that, hindi siya 3. 3 is far from 4.3. Okay? So kung 5.3 po, sir, poster is 5 na lang. Yes. Yes. Okay. Sa nearest odd po lagi i-round up. Yes, actually, preferably it should be odd. Na in some cases naman, we can also use even, and that's not a problem naman. So halimbawa, the given is the answer is 5.3. You can use 5, you can use 6. Wala namang problema doon. Okay? It's just the same. Okay? Let's now continue with our process. Ready na? Ready? Okay. Let's have this next one. After that, now that we have wala po bang effect 'yon sa outcome na sagot? Merong konti. Pero, sige, para safest na lang, halimbawa, para safest, para pare-pareho na lang tayo ng ginagawa. If it's, if it is, what do you call this? If it is, halimbawa, kung 5.3 siya, we can use 6 na lang. Round off na lang natin siya sa next value. Round up na lang agad sa nearest value niya, sa next value niya. Okay? Para pare-para tayo ng ginagawa. Okay? So, shall we continue? Pero, kapag nagpunta kayo ng college sa mga researches, statistics especially, usually, we use an odd number for the interval. Okay? Preferably. Sir. Pero kung wala po siyang decimal, sir, retain po. Yes. Kung wala siyang decimal, retain mo na lang. Okay? Okay, let's now continue. Again, para pare-pareho tayo na lang sa ating process. Kung nag 5.1 yan, 5.2, 5.3, round up na lang agad para pare-para tayo na ginagawa. Okay? Let's now continue. So, after that, now that we have our interval, all we need to do now is to make our frequency distribution table. Ito, this is quite tedious kasi medyo marami tayong gagawin dito. Step 4 is to make our frequency distribution table. Paano ba ibalik sa dating interface old version itong ginagamit kong ito? Okay. Okay, so class interval is 5. So gagawa tayo ngayon ng table na. Okay? So our lowest and highest, lowest and largest value will be used. Okay? So class intervals, lagay lang natin dito. Class intervals. I-complete ko muna. Okay, so for the class intervals from 120 to 120, 5 yung class interval, ibig sabihin, bibilang ka 120, 121, 122, 123, 124. 5 items or 5 data. So 120 to 124. Got it? And then next is 125 here to 125, 125, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 129. Next, 130 to 130, 30, 31, 32, 30, 34. 134. And then 135 to 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. 139. And then 140 to 140, 41, 42, 40, 44. 144. Remember, 140 is already included in the counting of the intervals. And finally, 145 to 145, 6, 7, 8, 9. 149. Okay? You will only stop once you already got a range for your largest value. In this case, when we got 145, pasok na si 146 dito, so we will end there already. Because there's no sense if we will be adding more intervals kasi wala na silang gamit. Okay? So that's it. That's for the class intervals. Next is the class boundaries. Madali lang to. Minus 0.5 tsaka add 0.5 lang tayo. Okay? So, minus 0.5 dito. How is this? Minus 0.5. Minus 0.5. Ito naman, plus 0.5. Okay? How is this? So we will have here, orange na lang para madaling gawin. So minus 0.5 sa 120. So that's 119.5 to 124.5. O, ganun lang siya. Then do the same. So 124.5. Ayan. Dito naman magkakadikit. Meron ka na kayong dikit. To 129.5. Okay, next. 129.5 to 134.5. Next, 134.5 to 139.5. Next, 139.5 to 144.5. And finally, 144.5 to 149.5. Okay, that's for our class boundaries. Okay? And next is to identify or make a tally. Dito yung mano-mano. Oh, we will tally the given. Ilan ang pasok from 120 to 124? Let's just count. Ready? 120 to 124. 1, 2. Help me count, ha? There are only 2. Do you agree? Dalawa lang ba? Yes, dalawa lang. So we have here the tally. O frequency na lang agad para mabilis. Frequency. Frequency is 2. Okay. So from 125 to 129 naman, ilan? 125 to 129, 1. Gagawan ko ng ibang kulay para di ako malilito. 125 to 129. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So there are 4. Frequency here is 2. Ay, sorry, 4. Okay, next. 130 to 134. Let's count. 130 to 134. 1, 2, 3, 4. 130 to 134. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9. So there are 9. Okay. And then for the, where am I now? 135 to 139. 135 to 139. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12. 12. Tama? 12. Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong, ha? There are 12. Next, 140 to 144. 140 to 144. Let me change it to yellow. 140 to 144. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7. And finally, there is only 1 belonging to 145 to 149. So that's 1. Okay, that's it. Show me a reaction if you were able to get the same tally as mine. Wait lang, wait lang, need me na maximize ko lang yung screen ko. I don't like what's happening here. Why am I having difficulty with this? Okay. Wait lang ha. Inaayos ko lang yung screen ko kasi ang hirap gamitin ng bagong interface ngayon ng Microsoft Whiteboard. Okay. Now that we have the frequency, we now have to do the cumulative frequency. Madali lang to. CF. Cumulative frequency. Ayan. So we will just add from 2 pababa hanggang sa maging 35 siya equal sa ating n. So 2 plus 2. So we will start with 2. 2 plus 4, 6. 6 plus 9, 15. 15 plus 12, 27. 27 plus 7, that's 34. And then 34 plus 1, 35. So exacto. Since our summation of our frequency is 35 at nag-match siya doon, ibig sabihin, we were able to tally our data correctly. Ngayon, kapag hindi sila nag-tally, well, then you have to double check your entries. Okay? Show me a reaction if doing the cumulative frequency or the frequency distribution is clear to you. Show me a reaction, please. Very good. Okay. Mahaba lang siya. It's quite a long process, pero it's easy to do. This is what we do whenever we have our research activities. I don't know if you already conducted a survey, a simple survey. And this is one thing that we do, especially kapag may statistics na. And what we are doing now is statistics, preparing you for your statistics classes. Okay? That's it. So, okay na tayo. Now that we already have this frequency distribution table, then we can already have the following values. Kasi malamit na natin gamitin ito. Let me just move it here kasi out of place siya sa doon. Okay, ayan. So, wala nang gamit. Hindi naman sa walang gamit, pero okay na yon. Maraming salamat na doon sa ating table because it has already served its purpose. Okay, dito na tayo ngayon with the formula for our process. Game. In here, all we have to do is to find the following values first. We will be looking for all of these things that we will be solving. Ito. We need to find our lower boundary of the quartile class, and then we will be solving for this, the R. We will also be looking for the cumulative frequency is already here. The sum of the frequencies, okay na yon. CF, we will be having this later. And then the frequency of the quartile class. And then our class interval, meron na tayo nito. Okay? Because those are the important parts that we need to know and identify in our formula. Yan, yung mga biniligan kong yon. We need to find all this using our cumulative or our frequency distribution table. Okay? Let's now have this. First, of course, let's find the summation of our R times the, what do you call this? R times the summation of the frequency divided by 4. Okay? Now, gagawin natin to. If we are looking for the first quartile, we will use R is equal to 1. If we are looking for the second quartile, we will be using 2 for the R. And If we are looking for the third quartile, then we will be using R is equal to 3. Okay? And what is our problem all about? Our problem here actually is if we are looking for our first quartile, then we will be using R is equal to 1. Okay. Handa na. Ready? Are you ready? Show me a reaction if you're ready to have this process. Kasi these are the values that we need to find. Wait lang. I'm really having a hard time with this new interface. Sorry. Kasi ang daming nagbago sa aking interface. Wait lang ha. Sorry ha. Pinapahirapan ako ng Microsoft ngayon eh. Okay. So, the first step, kita nyo na, hindi siya nagbabalance. Okay. The first step is to find the summation, the letter A, the R times the summation of the frequency divided by 4. Okay. In our problem, we are asked to find the first quartile. So, in short, if we are asked to find the first quartile, your value for R is 1. Kung hinahanap yung second quartile, your R will be equal to 2. And if it's for the third quartile, you are asked to find, or you are asked to substitute 3 for your R. Since in the problem, we are asked to find our first quartile, then our R will be equal to 1. Take note of that, ha? Huwag niyong kakalimutan yon. I've been repeating that. I've been repeating it again and again para hindi natin siya makakalimutan. Okay, let's now continue. So we have here, this is just actually easy. A, we have R is equal to 1 kasi first quartile yung gagamitin natin. So 1 times the summation of the frequency is this. Summation of the frequency is 35 over 4. Oh, 35 divided by 4. What's the answer? 35 divided by 4. Type the answer in the chat box, please. Very good. It's 8.75. Okay. Take note of that. Okay. Letter B. Diba? Dali lang. Lower bound of the quartile class. Where will we find this? Simply look at the quartile class and find the lowest class boundaries. When we say quartile class, this is actually the class interval wherein we will have the, what do you think? Our quartile class. What do you think? Where do you think will we get this? Okay, already na? Since what we solved in letter A is 8.75, the class interval that includes 8.75 is the class interval. Saan palagay ninyo makikita yon? Saan palagay ninyo makikita yon? Let me see. Okay, greater number near 8.75 from the cumulative frequency. Very good. Okay, so I'm glad meron tayong kasama dito na nag-advance study. So for us to identify that, all we have to do is to focus on our cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency, and it's 8.75. At dapat, kung saan man yung 8.75, the next number higher than that will be considered as our quartile class. So never 2, it's 8.75, hindi siya 6. And then it actually 8.75 is in between 6 and 15. Ito nakapasok yung 8.75. So because of that, which will we consider? It should be the next number higher than letter A or the 8.75, and that is 15. So therefore, focus on this table. Can you follow? Focus on this table. And so, for us to get the lower bound of the quartile class, we will now go to our class boundaries. Kasi lower bound. So, nasa class boundaries tayo. The lower bound is 129.5. This is the lower bound and this is the upper bound. Since we are looking for the for the lower bound, I mean, so we will be using 129.5. Got it? Okay. Show me a reaction if that's clear. Ini-emphasize ko lang po yung mga explanations ha, kahit medyo nagtatagal tayo ng konti para at least malinaw yung pinagkukuhanan natin. Okay. Next, cumulative frequency. So for the CF naman, we will be getting the cumulative frequency of the class lower than the quartile class. If our quartile class belongs to this from 132 to 134, we will not be using 15, but we will use 6, yung lower cumulative frequency. Can you follow? So our QC, our CF pala, okay, yung mas mababa, that's 6. Dito natin siya gagamitin. Okay. Next, letter D. Letter D is get naman the frequency of the quartile class. FQC, the frequency of the quartile class. And the frequency of the quartile class, again, this is our quartile class, yung may star, the frequency is 9. Okay, so that is 9. And finally, letter E, our class interval, we already solved this. I is equal to 5. This was our value a while ago. Okay. And of course, now that we already have completed the needed value, all we need to do now is to use this formula for us to solve our first quartile. Ito na. Patapos na tayo. Okay. Game. Medyo mahaba siya, pero understandable naman. Madali lang yung process, mahaba lang siya. So, to get the quartile 1, so we have here Q1 is equal to LBQC. Where's LBQC? That's 129.5. Let's just substitute. 129.5 plus our R times summation of the frequency over 4, that's letter A. That is 8.75. Minus our cumulative frequency, CF is 6. Yan, substitute na lang tayo dito. Madali na to. And then FQC. FQC is 9. And then multiplied by our class interval, which is 5. Okay? And so, kindly press this in your calculator. Press this in the calculator. We have here Q1 is equal to 129.5. Simplify pa natin para mas madali. Plus, bracket na lang para hindi tayo nalilito. 8.75 minus 6 is 2.75. Over 9 times 5. Okay, go. Go, 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 go. Press this in the calculator and type the answer in the chat box when you're done. Type it in the chat box, please. Very good. 2 already got the correct answer. Sir, yung class interval po ba, constant po is 5? Not naman. There are times that the class interval is 3. Sometimes it's 7. So, depende pa rin siya kung ano yung masasolve mo. Okay. So, your classmates already got the correct answer. And our first quartile is 131.03. So, that's our first quartile. Meaning, since this is height, in terms of height, we can say that this means that 25% of the 35 learners have heights less than, sorry, or equal to 131.03 cm. Ayan. So makikita natin na 25% sa mga learners mas mababa o kaya nasa 131 cm 0.03 131.03 cm lang sila. Ang liit naman ng mga yon. 131 100 meters. 100 meters. Ay, pangalati darogo. Siguro grade 7 pa lang tong mga to. Okay, kaya feeling ko grade school pa lang tong mga to. Laging 2 decimal places lang po ilalagay sa final answer. Yes. Safest lagi. Safest lagi yung 2 decimal places. Okay? Another question or concern? Okay. Thank you so much. So actually that process was done manually para alam nyo kung saan ba nanggagaling yung frequency distribution table. But in our next example,